Today we are going to look at the essence of the law of attraction, or the fourth law of existence, which just so happens to be better known in our world by now as the law of attraction. But it states, what you put out is what is reflected back. Every element of everything that is creates reflections in its own image and likeness, as the element itself is a reflection of the reflections it creates. Welcome to the new episode of You Are One. It might sound a bit complicated to you, but I'm sure after this episode is over, things will be very clear. What you put out is what you get back, so the question is, what do we put out?
The question is, what choice have we made? Quite specifically. According to our choice, we said that by looking at the previous laws of existence, we are stretching individual space-time. At one end, we accept that this individual space-time is future, at the other end it is past, and we are always acting through our choices in the here and now. In all this situation, in order to have existence, we also need to have elements around us to interact with in order to answer, why have we limited ourselves in this limitation? Why have we stretched this particular individual space-time?
Okay, but does that mean we can get the things we want this way? Even if we look at it from a slightly more micro perspective, i.e., if I, let's say, am very stuck with money, can I manifest myself by wishing, in this case, to receive money?
Here is the essential point of the wish. You can is the specific answer. In fact, what we wish for always happens to us. We assume a certain interaction with the environment, but we begin to deny the environment itself. And for this reason, what we supposedly assume, we deny.
And in this case, there are two versions. Either it is delayed until we get our choice and direction right, or it never comes.
It does not come if we remain closed in ourselves. Very true. However, if we wish for whatever it is, as you said, for an example, we want money. Great, but this money should be for our environment, through which we can decide the meaning of our existence. That is to solve the task. That is, if we demand to have money so that we can give it to the environment to experience the given task that we have set ourselves, we will always get it. A very important point is,
that is, we can say that certainly what we emit is what is reflected and we receive it, but more important is why. What is our intention is more important, and what is our direction?
what is the direction? That is the importance.
And even better, if we're honest enough with ourselves to admit that it's all about us, all about the inward direction, then we'd better not do it.
Well, yes, because in this way we close ourselves off.
Okay, but this is research. If I don't know what it is to explore the direction inward to find out, shouldn't I desire it to see it?
Okay, let's assume we're all inward facing.
Not all. The point is, if I've explored the opposite up until now, I've, for example, been totally committed to the outer direction, but I miss, let's say, the inward direction. Won't I not know what this is?
Right. And for this reason, you will always have both an outward direction and an inward direction. But here's the interesting part. And the inward direction, by presumption, you have it. At the very interaction with the environment inside you. That movement of energy called emotion will be reflected. Emotion, the energy that moves. Emotion. E as energy and motion as movement. That is, the energy that moves within you is a reflection of the interaction you have with the environment. And now, here is the thin moment. This emotion affects your interactions with the environment, and again, we have a vicious cycle and one flows into the other, because if you are mad at the environment, you will deny it. If you are in harmony with the environment, you will accept it.
That is, when everyone around us is sad, angry, and furious, does it mean that we are like that?
Absolutely true. At this point, as we create an environment in our image and likeness, as sources of ourselves and the environment itself, we radiate ourselves as proton fields, even from the circulatory system of our own choices, which we will comment on in another episode of the series, You Are One. In effect, we project our choices into the space of potential, and an environment manifests that is actually an accurate reflection of our choices. If we have wished to be sad, the whole environment around us appears to be sad. And in relation to money, if we have wished the environment to have money, will we run out of money?
But how many of us wish the people around us had money, and how many of us wish only we ourselves had money?
Exactly. And here comes the so-called egocentrism. How many of us wish others were well?
And it's not just about the money, but in general, because
this is a global mindset.
It's like if you think what's best for the others, if you want the good to be on their behalf, then money will be the least thing that will get in your way at times.
In this way, however, a mental field is realized, and this is worth noting. We forming, let's say, a mental field. I think about myself, know yourself, divide and rule. I have goals, and so on. This is all individual thinking about ourselves. This is an inward direction. In this way, we isolate ourselves from the environment. And how then will we explore ourselves in our interaction with the environment if we are basically inward looking and environment denying? And this is a complete paradox.
yes, that is, the inward direction or self-exploration is only half of it. That's the one side of the coin.
And the other one?
And most of us thought that that was it.
Exactly.
And it turns out to be just the half.
And besides that, we shouldn't forget, one flows into the other. That is, if the others are not there, we become meaningless. And then our existence, as one of the laws of existence, becomes meaningless. Because if we are alone in the dark space, what do we exist for? We become mindless. We exist to interact. Here is the most essential moment, the greatest beauty. And that paradox, right? Know thyself, or isolate with thyself, or separate to learn.
Well, then all the monks, all the priests, all the clerics in Tibet, for example, who go into seclusion for 2, 3, 5 years are completely with themselves. You cannot deny that they reach a very deep level of consciousness.
To a deep level of what? Consciousness? Or awareness?
Okay, or awareness.
No, they reach a deep level of isolation. Because in these 5 years, if they come down from Tibet to the city, will they be able to adapt to the environment they have created?
We have to ask them. Probably not.
And if they can't adapt, then where is their interaction? Isolated in Tibet, can they interact with their environment so that there is meaning to their lives, so to speak? Life is in interaction, in the flow of one into the other, in contact with others, in relationships with others.
I mean, even this version looks like to hell with all. I'm going to isolate myself and let the world heal itself, and I will look at myself again and again selfishly.
Well, this is a kind of egocentrism through which I delegate all the responsibility to the source that I am, without, however, being accountable for the limitation I am. I do not take responsibility for my own limitation, even though I have created it myself. The idea is really to realize that only interactions and relationships matter. And here again, I emphasize the interactions and relationships. That is, we should not wait for someone to give us something. We provide a reciprocal relationship. We give and take action. The interaction and relationship are formed based solely on our mutual exchange.
Yes. And again, we come to the fact that as much as we borrow, as much as we give, so much we will receive. And that's the thing that we, the people, think that what we have given, it will come back to us, but it is not so.
But is not what we gave. We are all one. The third principle, the third law of existence says, we are all one and in unity. We may give to the left and receive to the right. We can give above and receive from below. Does it matter where we get it from, if we get it either way? From the point of view of the source, from the point of view of the potential that we are, the result to get is important to us. It doesn't matter where, and we think that if I give a cup here, I must receive from the same cup.
That is, we must put these thoughts aside and accept the more global part. After all, the very idea that we receive the given cup or something from where we have given is also a limitation of our full potential.
This, on the one hand, is very correct, but that's the one side. And now we will develop it further. If we create our environment, why do we create it?
To explore ourselves and what we do not know in ourselves through them.
That is, are they helpers or pests?
They are always helpers. The question is,
That is, we create the environment to help us, but we will deny it. And doesn't that sound paradoxical? A bit like that joke that is told in Interstellar Alliance? A little gossip to share? So the aliens come to Earth and say, well, there are a lot of hungry children here in China. Let's do something about it. But we have no money, say the Earthlings. Well, here in Africa there is no water. Let's do something so they have water. There is no money for that either, say the Earthlings. And here in South America, the favelas, let's fix them. Let them live cleaner, better. There is no money, say the Earthlings. And finally, the aliens come and say, look what, we understand. This resource, money, is obviously very important to you Earthlings. So tell us what this resource, money, is. Explain it to us. We will go around the whole universe and we will give it to you, only for you to develop. And then the Earthlings answer, relax. We print the money ourselves. Indeed, this is the paradox of humanity. We ourselves create an environment in order to experience it together. The limitation we have chosen for ourselves, while at the same time denying the very thing we have chosen. And that's why this law of attraction is, in fact, not a law of attraction, but in practice it is a law of repulsion for Earthlings.
yes. Okay, but how should we formulate it so that we can use it in practice every day consciously, however? Because we, let's say, use it by presumption. But from now on, we want to use it consciously.
We just formulated it together with you. What did we say? We said that we create ourselves, and the meaning of our existence is to examine ourselves in a certain environment, to study a certain condition of ours or our desire, a choice we have made. Therefore, we will thereby also create an environment in which to explore these states and choices.
Just like, let's try our desires. Let's find them to make it more interesting to us. Because otherwise, if we start from scratch with everything we have, we won't even last a year.
Well, then we must thank the environment that exists around us, because it is an exact reflection of our choices, our desires. And then can the environment manifest something other than our desires?
That is, through the environment we can check our desires if we feel confused. We can tell each other where to go at any moment.
And what to fix within ourselves, since the environment reflects our inner state and our inner choices.
Is that why Mahatma Gandhi says, if you want to find yourself, you must lose yourself in the service of others?
The idea is get to know others. Correct. By correcting yourself, changing yourself for the sake of others. And then things start to become clear.
Because others, being well already, will help you to get well.
Even if you are wrong, they will help you sort yourself out. So, first, we realize that our environment is not a pest. Second, that we ourselves create the environment on our behalf because of our own choices. And then, realizing all this, we begin to understand the law itself, a law of existence where what you put out is what you get. You cannot radiate gratitude and receive malice and hatred.
If you put it out, though, let's say, and to a certain group of people you're always kind, you're always devoted, but even so, let's say the first week or month, well, you don't get that back from those people. What is this sign then? There are people I know who say, well, I give everything for these people, I'm always nice, I'm always kind, I'm sick of it.
Okay, and here's the answer. I give everything for these people. When I comment on it, how did I give it? With the expectation of receiving or showing myself off, which in turn is the expectation of receiving, let's say, good treatment.
That is,
Did I give it with all my love and gratitude just because the environment exists? If I gave it this way, would I be looking for any feedback? Will I be looking for some expectation? What exactly do I get? No, I'm here to explore my interactions with the environment. I give my gratitude and that's it. I keep on giving and giving gratitude. And at one point I see everyone thanking me. And I'm like, aha, here's the connection.
yes.
If I spread hatred, malice, restrictions, what happens around me? The same. I begin to deny the environment because I myself am the menace who manifested this environment.
The questions here as a final conclusion are two. In my opinion, the first one is whether we will have the strength and the honesty to admit that we are these menaces. And the second one is, actually, that's the best thing, that even if we're the biggest menaces, we'll still have the chance to change, and the environment will continue to suggest it to us, and we will continue to have the chance to see it.
Exactly. But give it a thought. With whatever force I am willing to turn myself inward, if I turn outward, because it is the same energy, I will turn to the environment with the same force. Because it's still me, I can't use one force inward and the other force outward if I'm still me. I use the same power. And this is the so-called, again, given meaning. With the same power with which I work inward, the same power, if I turn it outward, becomes my greatest plus. That is where my greatest defects are my greatest opportunities if I change direction. And really, that's the beauty of change. Because by changing myself from an inward direction to an outward direction, I have the chance to stretch my frequency characteristics to infinity. I have the chance to expand my possibilities to infinity. I have the chance to be myself in the infinite variations of the potential that I am.
You are one. Kudos and thanks, Ivo.
And I thank everyone who watches us.